I was saying, y'all, it's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and after I already gave all of my opinions on the situation, now I feel like it's a good time to dive into how experts feel about the Deebo Samuel trade to the Washington Commanders. They're going to talk about the fit. Of course, they're going to give their grades as well. Also, towards the end of the video, we got to talk about how Deebo Samuel could potentially only be a $5 million cap hit in 2025. We have a lot to discuss today, even though this video shouldn't be anywhere near as long as that 55-something minute long breakdown that I just did yesterday. But out of the way, before we get into everything, make sure you still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, and still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. I'm about to be back to doing multiple videos a day, so stay tuned for that. And I want to start to kick up some live streams as well, especially with free agency approaching. I mean, we're about to start getting news left and right about us re-signing guys from our 2024 roster, and then we'll start to see, you know, the Commanders have agreed in principle on a signing with this player from outside free agents in like 8 days as well. So it's about to get crazy. So stay tuned, your one-stop shop for everything Commanders. I got you. Free agency draft. I'm working on a post Deebo Samuel mock draft. Stay tuned for that. Everything. Without further ado, let's go and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. And shouts out to Commanders Wire for putting some of these grades together in one article for us. Because, again, I want to dive into what a lot of the experts had to say. And they love this trade for the Washington Commanders. The lowest grade that I've seen was a B from ESPN. We're going to get to it. Commanders Wire themselves, they said, we love this grade for Washington. I guess they meant trade. Cliff Kingsbury likely offered his input on this deal, and Dan Quinn and Adam Peters signed off on the move. Everything with the Commanders is collaborative. Great point. Kingsbury knows what he looks for in offensive playmakers, while Peters knows Samuel's character. Perfect. Great point. Having been in San Francisco for his first 5 NFL seasons, Washington was a good place for Samuel. Kingsbury will put him in situations to thrive, using him around the line of scrimmage, allowing Samuel to create havoc for defenses in the open field. And I didn't even necessarily think of it from that way. Like I already knew that Adam Peters and Deebo Samuel have been around each other for a very long time. Adam Peters, of course, knows Deebo Samuel's on and off the field habits and things like that. But they were only apart and separate from each other for 1 year. Now they're right back with each other. So Deebo Samuel has been in NFL and then has been with Adam Peters longer than he hasn't since he's been drafted to the NFL, since the 49ers got him, and now he's with the Washington Commanders as well. Then they finished it up by saying, as for the compensation, Washington should get more from Samuel in one season than a typical 5th round pick would give them. I agree. Yes, the Commanders will pay Samuel's full salary next season. We got to talk about that towards the end of the video. But that's not an issue with their cap space. Washington can create additional cap space as well. And I completely agree with all of that. Now, again, towards the end of the video, we're going to talk about the whole $5 million thing, as far as like how he could potentially only be a $5 million cap hit in 2025 if they exercise this certain option. Again, we're going to talk about that later. That's coming from Spot Track himself. This is not something I'm just coming up with out of nowhere. And yet, even if he ends up still being the $17.5 million cap hit that he's estimated to be right now, which I'm perfectly fine with, and I feel like that's the most likely scenario anyway, even though there is this option of $5 million against the cap in 2025, but you're gonna pay that eventually, but you know, you could do something with the void years again. We'll get to that later. But even say he's still $17.5 million against the cap this year, again, you can cut or trade Jonathan Allen to get back like $16.3 million of that, which means that you would only net like a negative like 1.2 million, and then you would have basically gotten rid of Jonathan Allen to get Deebo Samuel. And then there's still even more ways that you can gain more cap space. But with trading away or cutting Jonathan Allen, like I pointed out in yesterday's full breakdown, like almost hour-long breakdown of Deebo Samuel and the whole trade and everything, is that ultimately trading for Deebo Samuel put us down at like 5th or 6th in cap space, but then getting rid of Jonathan Allen, which I'm assuming will happen. If we can't trade him, we'll just cut him. You'll be right back at 3rd in cap space again, like nothing basically ever happened. Now moving on to the USA Today, they gave us an A as well. Jack Kessie said this about Samuel to the Commanders. Quote, the Commanders got a weapon to pair with McLaurin, their star receiver, and Jaden Daniels, their young quarterback, in their passing offense. And all it cost them was a 5th round pick, unquote. Then CBS Sports, Tyler Sullivan, quote, the Commanders had a clear need for a secondary pass catcher opposite of Terry McLaurin, and Samuels fills that need splendidly. While McLaurin topped 1,000 receiving yards for the 5th consecutive year, no other Washington pass catcher was able to cross that threshold. Veteran tight end Zach Ertz, who is set to become an unrestricted free agent this offseason, I hope we bring him back on another year deal, was second on the team in receptions and receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. As for the next best receiver on the roster, that was Olamide Zaccheaus, y'all, who registered 506 yards and 3 touchdowns in 17 games. And mind you, 2 of those touchdowns came in 1 game. Samuel should come in and immediately warrant the 2nd most touches in the passing game for the Commanders. I agree. Also, as for the money angle of this trade, the Commanders had the 3rd highest amount of cap space prior to this trade and currently have an elite quarterback playing on his rookie contract, so they can easily extend themselves for Samuel. I agree. And then ESPN gave us a B. Seth Walder said, Washington was a logical candidate to acquire him. It's time for the Commanders, flush with cap space and in year 2 of the Jaden Daniels era, to push their chips in the middle of the table. And receiver is a clear position of need behind Terry McLaurin, particularly with late season breakout De'Ami Brown being an impending free agent. Samuel appears to be a nice fit in Washington's offense. He provides another threat close to the line of scrimmage and can complement Daniels' running prowess. I completely agree. We're going to talk about that later. Why Jaden Daniels being a dual threat quarterback will fully unlock Deebo Samuel. Washington's 4.6 expected yards after catch per reception last season wasn't amazing, but it was better than the 49ers' 4.3, 6th worst, and 11% of Washington's wide receiver targets came on screens. That was the 3rd highest in the NFL. You'd expect even more next season with Samuel surely receiving many of them. Then you have for the win, another A grade. Corey Woodruff said, the Commanders did exactly what contending teams with star quarterbacks on rookie deals should do. They utilize ample cap space and a draft resource to add a real deal playmaker to the offense. Samuel should fit in nicely with what Washington likes to do on offense, and he can give Daniels another good veteran safety blanket in the passing game. Samuel could also take a bit of the load off of Daniels' shoulders in the run game, as offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury can scheme up packages for Samuel to play at running back. This is a pretty strong move for Washington, provided that Samuel stays on the field at the pace he was with his injury history. For a team that is squarely in Super Bowl or bust territory, this is very good business, unquote. And then, of course, like I included in my hour-long breakdown of Deebo Samuel, Walter Football loves this trade for the Commanders as well. He gave the 49ers a B-. He gave the Washington Commanders an A+. Well, he always calls us the Redskins still. He said, one of the reasons I love the idea of betting the Redskins at 20-1 odds or better for Super Bowl winners is that they had the 3rd most cap space in the NFL. I suggested that their price would be far worse after they acquired T. Higgins and Myles Garrett. Higgins wasn't the receiver they obtained, but rather Deebo Samuel. Now, Samuel had a disappointing 2024 campaign. He started off well, but he got hurt in the middle of the season and was never the same after that. Samuel was available cheaply as a result, and the Redskins did a great job of buying low. Surrendering just a 5th round draft choice was an excellent move. Now, those are for the grades. How about just how national television experts, non-Commanders fans, non-Commanders reporters just feel about this trade in general? Chase Daniel tweeted, how in the world did the Commanders get Deebo for a 5th? Commanders offense just got better. Imagine how many quick screens are going to be called. Then Emmanuel Acho, same show on television with Chase Daniel, tweeted, perfect for Deebo and the Commanders. Deebo needed to join an offensive mind who was both the skill to design plays for him and the skill to call those plays. Cliff Kingsbury is that offensive mind. Then you have James Jones. He tweeted a video of himself saying days ago that he's speaking Deebo Samuel to the Commanders into existence because he wants to see what that offense can look like, how he can make Jaden Daniels better and how Jaden Daniels can make him better, and basically how it's impossible to cover all 3, Jaden Daniels, Deebo Samuel, and Terry McLaurin at the same time. And he literally said that love what the Commanders are doing for Jaden Daniels, spoke it into existence at FS1, literally tweeted the video himself, the 19 seconds that he said, hey, watch out, don't let this happen. But he wanted it to happen, and then it happened. Then you have Mina Combs. She tweeted, Cliff's gonna break the record for screens next year, just plain and simple, and I can't wait to see her even break it down, because she's more than likely gonna do a film session about how great of a trade this was for the Washington Commanders and how great of a landing spot this is for Deebo Samuel. Now, we also have more great thoughts and points from just around everywhere that I can see. People bringing up great points that I'm like, dang, I wish I included that in my video, or at least thought of that myself. We're gonna dive into it. Some of these I did think of, I just didn't include in the video, and I felt like a lot of these people just worded it perfectly. Just stay with me. These are some great points and opinions on the matter that should make you, if you're not a fan of this trade, maybe you'll like it a little bit now. If you liked it a little bit off rip, you're gonna love it now. And if you already love the trade, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. You're gonna pass out from some of these points that they brought up. So shouts out to Andrew Brandt, because he brings up a good point. He said that Deebo Samuel trade is making people understand the importance of finance and trade comp. Whereas San Francisco willing to pay some of Deebo's contract, they would have got more than a 5th rounder. Now that financial allocation will go to Purdy. That's the reason that, you know, they wanted to save more cap space so that they could give the money that they want to pay Brock Purdy on a long-term, big-time deal that they're trying to give him right now. And because they wanted to pay Brock Purdy, which is the reason that they didn't want to eat up some of Deebo's contract in order to trade him, is why they only got a 5th rounder in return. If they were willing to eat up some of Deebo's cap space, they probably could have got more than the 5th rounder. But again, the priority was to pay Brock Purdy. And then Andrew Brandt finished up by saying, and Washington can absorb that because they have a quarterback on a rookie contract, which is why your Super Bowl window is open when Jaden Daniels is, just period, when you have an elite quarterback playing at an elite level, especially Jaden Daniels specifically at a top 5 quarterback level, and he's only making rookie deal money. He's only a rookie contract cap hit right now. You can afford to make moves like this while the 49ers simply just cannot. One of the main reasons they got rid of Deebo Samuel was the cap space situation. If Deebo Samuel was way cheaper, he would still be on the 49ers right now, but they're just trying to figure out any move that they could do so that they could pay Brock Purdy. And now that they have Brock Purdy, who's not an elite quarterback, and now he's about to get paid, he's going to no longer be on his rookie contract. That's why they're forced to make tough decisions like this. This is something the Commanders don't have to worry about for a very long time, thank goodness. And then shouts out to Archduke on Twitter. And then I already broke this down in several different ways, but this is an additional way to look at this. Remember, we traded Jahan Dotson for a 3rd, then we used that 3rd, a 4th, and a 6th for Lattimore, and then got a 5th back, and then flipped that 5th round pick for Deebo. So basically, we turned Jahan Dotson, a 4th and a 6th, into Deebo Samuel and Marshawn Lattimore. Peters is a demon. And then shouts out to Colin Chris, because he brings up a good point as well. Not to mention that 6th that we gave up in the Marshawn trade was the Saints originally from the John Ridgeway trade. So actually, we technically turned Jahan Dotson, John Ridgeway, and a 4th into Marshawn Lattimore and Deebo Samuel. That is actually really, really incredible right there. Shouts out to Adam Peters once again. Shouts out to Lake Lewis. He said acquiring Deebo Samuel makes the Commanders' offense more versatile, and he also brings a level of toughness that will complement Scary Terry's physical style. I feel like that's a great point that we need to emphasize. I talked about how aggressive and physical Deebo Samuel is and how that's going to help us, but I didn't really even bring up the fact that, like, that's a perfect complement to the fact that Scary Terry is the exact same way. We already had one guy like that in Scary Terry. It's going to be amazing to have an additional guy like that. Now, De'Ami Brown is pretty physical, especially when blocking, but Deebo Samuel takes it to another level. You could argue that Deebo Samuel is the most physical player in the NFL on a pound-for-pound basis. I mean, we're not going to sit here and compare him to 330-pound defensive linemen, but on a pound-for-pound basis, that boy Deebo Samuel is probably the most physical player in the entire NFL. So now you also, Lake Lewis points out the fact that we have 2 wide receivers that can combat the physicality of the Philadelphia Eagles. AP has just started cooking, so sit back and enjoy, because I firmly believe we're not done having fun. I think free agency is going to be really fun, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's even a couple of more trades. Again, us trading away Jonathan Allen, maybe us trading for somebody else. Be on the lookout. We're going to talk about that a little bit more a little later. And then also shouts out to @Saint-Watt, because he brings up a good point. Just think, Deebo Samuel did all of that with a pocket passer. pocket passes straight up Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy. Now he's playing alongside Jaden Daniels, the epitome of a dual threat quarterback. RPOs, jet sweeps, and formations are about to go crazy. That threat alone forces defenses to respect their playmaking ability. And then shouts out to Just Your Average Fly Guy on Twitter, because he said teams will have to defend every blade of grass against us now. And I completely agree. That's how Deebo Samuel helps the Commanders immediately. We'll see what he can contribute to the team, like future-wise. Like with him being 29 now, he'll be 30 next year. You know, what's the future of Deebo Samuel with this team? Who knows? How long can he play at a high level? We'll see. But I'm very confident in 2025 that I feel like fans that are, you know, just us armchair GMs are lower on Deebo Samuel than the NFL is. I'm pretty sure NFL locker rooms, the players, NFL defensive coordinators respect the mess out of a Deebo Samuel, and they probably understand exactly why, because they get paid millions to do this. I'm pretty sure they look at Deebo Samuel and are like, okay, this is why this didn't work out. If you really go look at that film, like you really go look at the tape, there are so many moments where Brock Purdy's overthrowing them, underthrowing them, throwing the ball late. Jaden Daniels isn't going to do that. And that's why I feel like it really needs to be emphasized that, like, I mean, no matter how down you are on Deebo Samuel, he's never played with a Jaden Daniels level of quarterback. Like I said in my video yesterday, the hour-long video, Jaden Daniels got a game where Olamide Zaccheaus and Jamison Crowder in 2024 both had 2 touchdowns receiving each in one game together at the same time. Like, Deebo Samuel has never played with a quarterback in the stratosphere of a Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is very accurate. I mean, we just talked about the dual threat ability. We're going to get back to how defenses will have to deal with and worry about literally every blade of grass. You just can't limit and be like, okay, we'll only defend this much because we ain't got to worry about that anymore. You know, defenses were not playing us 100% honest last year because they knew as long as we stop Jaden Daniels, we don't really have to worry about much else. Now we're adding more weapons around Jaden Daniels to where you do have to worry about everybody now, and that's going to allow Jaden Daniels' job to be easier. But my point is, going back to my first point, Jaden Daniels is very accurate. If you go back and look at just Deebo Samuel tape, not the highlights from last year, go be a real football analyst. Don't just go look up Deebo Samuel highlights. Don't just go look up stats and see that he had a down year. Go look at why. First of all, it's a pneumonia, like I talked about in my previous video, the hour-long one from yesterday. That's a perfectly good excuse as to why he did not have a great second half of the season. But then also, Brock Purdy is very inaccurate, especially compared to a Jaden Daniels. There are so many times where even if Deebo Samuel caught the ball was so inaccurate that it didn't allow him to maximize his yards after catch. I'm telling you, please just go look at 49ers All 22, and it will perfectly paint the picture as to why Deebo Samuel's stats were down from 2021. I'm telling you right now. But again, going back to having to defend every blade of grass versus us, they didn't have to do that last year. Even as fun as Austin Eckler, Terry McLaurin, all of these other guys were, they didn't have to respect every little part of our offense. They learned. You could just tell defenses after a while adapted and were like, all right, well, as long as we make sure Jaden Daniels can't do anything, and then we make sure we always shade an extra safety to Terry McLaurin, especially that Eagles game in the NFC Championship. Even though Jaden Daniels still found a way to consistently move the ball, we just kept fumbling. But you could just tell that they were not playing us 100% honest and respecting all parts of our offense and the entire field. Now Deebo Samuel is going to be an extra layer to where a defense has to game plan against them, which again, at the end of the day, I mean, no matter how much you like or don't like Deebo Samuel, at the very least, this makes Jaden Daniels' job way easier. I'm telling you that right now. Jaden Daniels is excited about that, which again, I showed y'all in my video from yesterday. But just watch out. I'm telling y'all, this offense is going to be insane. And then shouts out to Underdog NFL. You got your boy Josh Norris and Hayden Hinks over there. Hayden Winks. I always call him Hayden Hinks for some reason. I guess because of alliteration. My bad for that. But they pointed out the fact that Deebo Samuel, when it comes to yards after catch per reception ranks per Pro Football Focus, in 2024, he was 6th. 2023 he was 1st, so people act like he's been having these down years, but he's still been yards after catch per reception ranked very high. 6th again last year was his worst, and then 2023 1st, 2022 3rd, 2021 1st, 2020 1st, and then 2019 3rd. He at the very least, outside of last year when he had pneumonia, has been top 3 in yards after catch per reception out of all wide receivers. Imagine what Jaden, remember, that was Jaden Daniels' this offense's biggest weakness last year. If you go look at Jaden Daniels' highlights, almost all of his touchdowns are throwing a guy into a touchdown. Like the receiver's already in a touchdown, all he has to do is catch the ball. Count on your hand how many times Jaden Daniels threw the ball to somebody and then they ran into a touchdown. I can vividly remember like a couple of Terry McLaurin's and one, maybe 2 Olamide Zacchaeus'. But I swear Jaden Daniels percentage-wise had to have led the NFL out of all quarterbacks in their receivers getting tackled within the 5-yard line, specifically at the 1-yard line especially. We had so many receivers catch the ball, run, and then get tackled at the 1. Just could not find a way to power through, juke a guy out, or at least extend the ball into the end zone. Deebo Samuel literally gives you that. If anything else, if he can't do nothing else, he can do that. So literally, you could argue one of our biggest weaknesses to our offense last year, Deebo Samuel at the very least not only fixes that, but is arguably the best at fixing that out of any potential receiver that was available anywhere. Like right now, free agency, trade, whatever, Deebo Samuel is at the very least elite at that still. And then also shouts out to Mark Bullock. He said a 5th rounder for Deebo Samuel is fine. Still has yak ability. Very good fit for what Cliff Kingsbury likes to do. Bubble tunnel screens on RPOs. Move around from wide receiver to running back and no huddle and up tempo. I like that. You know what I'm saying? He'll typically probably be at wide receiver more often now, especially with him getting up there in age. All of the mileage put on his body from the aggressive play style that he's utilized for the past few years since he's been drafted to the 49ers. He probably won't play running back as much as people probably think, especially if you're just looking at what he did for the 49ers. I'm not expecting him to play as much running back for the Commanders, but at the same time, Mark Bullock points out that like when we're in no huddle, we're up tempo, which we like to do a lot. I think we were literally the #1 no huddle up tempo team in the NFL last year. We love to do that. And then like while the defense is tired, while we're not even giving them a chance to really get their substitutions off, we'll just switch Deebo Samuel to running back out of nowhere. Now their defense is off balance and confused and don't know what's going on. That's what the goal right there. I think that could definitely catch defenses off guard and break off some explosive plays just off of that alone. And then he also finished it up by saying, we'll do a lot for their 21 pony personnel stuff from last year as well. Remember, we would have 2 running backs in the backfield quite a bit, like more than most NFL teams, which is why a lot of people trying to call our offense a college offense and things like that, because it wasn't like an I formation with a fullback. We're talking about quarterback and 2 running backs side by side next to the quarterback on each side of them. And Deebo Samuel could fill that role. We were doing it a lot with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. You'll probably more so see it with Deebo Samuel and Austin Eckler moving forward, or whichever running back we get to be our RB1, because I truly believe that we will end up with a new RB1 before the 2025 season. I think we're definitely going to draft our guy, and again, that's going to take some of the weight off of Deebo Samuel's shoulders of having to be a running back consistently, which again, I don't think he'll be as much here as he was for the 49ers. This going back to St. Wah. He said Deebo Samuel's trade had been in the works for a couple of weeks. Washington was always the destination. Some things happen fast and others move a little bit slower, but it got done. Washington gets a hungry playmaker overall that's looking to get a new deal, which also fits perfectly. Then he also said Cliff Kingsbury has been looking for a Deebo Samuel-like player his entire NFL coaching career. Well, now he actually has literally Deebo Samuel, not a Deebo Samuel clone, literally Deebo himself, and I'm looking forward to see how he's utilized. I completely agree. I'm right with you there. And then also shouts out to Spin Off Beats on Twitter, Commander J Dilla. He said criticizing Adam Peters for trading a 5th because you believe Adam Peters is good at selecting 5th rounders is interesting. Don't you think Adam Peters thought about this before Adam Peters made the trade? I feel like that was worded perfectly. I love that one, man, because I feel like people are definitely adding a little bit too much value to 5th rounders. Now, I mean, I'm draft god. That's my thing. Draft GOAT right here. That's what I love to do. I love the offseason, arguably even more than the actual games themselves. I'm a GM at heart, so I love my draft picks. but sometimes we place a little bit too much value in draft picks and in the unknown of what a draft pick could be, especially a 5th rounder. Now, again, like I said in my hour-long video yesterday, I do trust Adam Peters to have a way higher chance to utilize a 5th round draft pick to get a way better player that can contribute more than I ever did with Ron Rivera, and even more than I did with Jay Gruden before that. But still, man, we can't just assume that, yeah, Adam Peters is a genius, and I trust his draft acumen and scouting and things like that. But, I mean, we just can't assume that we were about to get a Hall of Famer with that 5th round pick. I will take my chances with a Deebo Samuel, especially with us right now in a win-now mode. Then shouts out to Lake Lewis. He said the motivation for a contract and a Super Bowl ring should make Deebo Samuel and the Commanders a dangerous bunch this upcoming season. And I basically said that. I broke that down in a lot of different ways in my video yesterday as well. But I felt like that was worded well because Deebo Samuel, I'm telling you, not only does he want a Super Bowl ring, which he's talked about several times, he was even interviewed last year about what he wants to do. No, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago at the Super Bowl week, and like, where does he want to be next year? And he was like, yeah, I want to be in a Super Bowl. I want to win a Super Bowl finally. He went to one with the 49ers, and then it didn't work out. He didn't end up winning it. He feels like he has a great chance of winning it, especially with us, because there were reports that not only did we want Deebo Samuel wanted to be traded to the Commanders specifically. He's a big fan of Jaden Daniels and all of that. And then also, this is the last year of his deal. So, I mean, we could debate about how good Deebo Samuel still is, where he is at mentally, the fact that he showed up to some 49ers practices overweight and things like that because he wasn't motivated. If there were one season that you could get a motivated Deebo Samuel, it's him in a contract year. This is the last year of his deal. He's going to do everything in his power to give it 110% every chance he gets so that he can get that next contract. Then we can cross that road when we get there. 2026 Deebo, is he going to be motivated enough to be good? But I can bet you 2025 Deebo Samuel is going to be very motivated. And again, a 49ers reporter literally told John Com that based off of just knowing Deebo Samuel from covering him for the past few years, he's a very prideful guy. And if at the very least, you're going to get a guy that's going to be super motivated to prove everybody wrong with the fact that, first of all, he was only traded for a 5th round pick, and how basically the entire NFL landscape views him as a guy that maybe has fallen off. He's going to be out to prove everybody wrong, most notably the 49ers. I mean, again, like I said in my video yesterday, do not let us play the 49ers in the playoffs because that boy gonna go crazy. Which also brings me back to another point that I forgot to bring up yesterday in my video, that Deebo Samuel is very clutch. Like any type of like game where you gotta have it, that guy steps up and plays his best moments. Like this is a playoff dominant player. Like he has his best moments when literally the 49ers needed him the most type of stuff. Like that 2023 versus the Eagles. He single-handedly destroyed their season, ended their postseason, ended that entire year for them. And then I think it was like a couple of years ago, it was against like the Detroit Lions or something in the playoffs, and like they were about to lose. It was looking like it was about to get out of control, and the Deebo Samuel literally took over the game. He like ran for a touchdown, caught a touchdown, something like that, threw for a touchdown. Like it was like one of the most single-handedly dominant performances we've ever seen from a wide receiver in recent memory. Like this guy, when it's like lights are bright, you can bet on him to take over type of thing. Now, maybe he may lose focus. Maybe he'll get lazy. We could debate that in like regular season games that we don't necessarily see mattering that much. They're not as high in magnitude and importance of winning. You know, these may not be vital games where we gotta have it type of thing. But when it's a gotta have it, it's a play. Trust me, I can tell you right now, against the Philadelphia Eagles, the NFC Championship, you would not have had to worry about him fumbling or making mistakes. It would have been him and Jaden Daniels doing everything they could to carry this team, and at least Jaden Daniels wouldn't have been by himself. I can tell you that right now. Deebo Samuel, if anything, is very clutch when the lights are at their brightest. But then also, shouts out to Sports MD Analysis. This is a medical doctor that's on Twitter that, you know, breaks down a lot of football stuff. He said, Deebo Samuel, nobody's talking about his mid-season pneumonia. I did in my video yesterday. I fully broke that down, literally showed you the stats exactly of like how he had these great games, caught pneumonia, then had a series of bad games, because he just never fully recovered from it. He just tried to return as soon as he could. And then the second to last game he played, he showed you, okay, I could be 2021 Deebo again, but you know, that pneumonia had me down bad for half of the season. But the doctor said, but that's big, and it showed pre-pneumonia, 5 games, 77 yards per game. Post-pneumonia, 10 games, 44 yards per game. In 2023, he put up 1,100 total yards with 12 touchdowns. 2022, you can say, was up and down. And 2021 was his breakout season. And he's basically finished it up by saying, not much evidence that the production ceiling has sunk. I agree. There are a lot of factors. Some people are going to call them excuses. I feel like they're perfectly reasonable to explain what has been going on with Deebo Samuel over the last couple of years, especially last year specifically. That pneumonia had him down bad. Then you have my boy Josh Taylor. He said the Washington fans still hate the Deebo trade and are quickly going to change their mind when they actually get to see who Deebo is, realize he was never out of shape, and when they realize his ability to recruit other players here, not just 49ers. And that's a good point. Deebo, it does have an infectious personality. You know, whereas Jaden is a little bit more quiet, but still everybody wants to be around him. Everybody wants to talk to him. You know, he's going to recruit very well for us in free agency as well. But Deebo Samuel is a more outward personality to where people are going to want to play for him just off of the physicality, how aggressive he is. I mean, there's no way, and LaShawn McCoy explained this very well just like a week ago before we even traded for Deebo Samuel, about like he asked everybody in the panel, like, have you ever been to a 49ers game like in person? And he said like the way that like the whole team, the whole entire stadium reacts when Deebo Samuel has one of those plays where he runs somebody over, it gets the whole offense hype. It gets the whole defense hype. Just like how a hit stick by the defense can like, you know, just be a burst of energy to everybody on the team. Deebo Samuel brings that on offense as well. And it just, everybody just gets hype. Everybody wants to just play better. Everybody's in a mode of like, I mean, him and Frankie Louisville are going to love each other. It's my point. Frankie Louisville and Deebo Samuel are basically two of the same kind. Just one plays on defense, one plays on offense. I'm telling you right now. And again, it's not even just the personality off the field that's going to help recruit, which I think it will, because again, he's very outgoing, outspoken and everything like that. Pretty flashy. People like to be around him as well. But then also on the field wise, you just can't help but look at Deebo Samuel on the field and be like, man, I would love to play on the same team as a guy that does that. So I'm telling you right now, we brought in another great recruiter as well. So just be on the lookout for that. Shouts out to Josh Taylor for that point. Then shouts out to @JDanielsMVP. That boy Brandon over there said, if anything, I believe trading for Deebo Samuel just shows that there's a good chance that we will make a move for Myles Garrett. Adam Peters knows it's time to win now. Now, I wouldn't necessarily go that far to say like it's guaranteed that we're going to, you know, be very aggressive, because you got to remember, we had to give up a 5th round pick for Deebo Samuel. If you want to trade for Myles Garrett or anybody else, you're going to have to give up more draft picks to get them. And Adam Peters does like his draft picks. Again, don't put too much value. Don't overvalue a 5th round draft pick that we gave up for Deebo Samuel. But at the same time, don't act like Adam Peters does not like his draft picks at all. There's a happy middle in which reality lies. And I just feel like, I don't know, like I hope we're still in like win now mode. We gave up a 5th for Deebo, so let's go give up more draft picks to go get a Myles Garrett. But I wouldn't say that that's just like an automatic thing. But I hope. I'm with you, Jay Daniels. I'm hoping. I just don't see it as like a, well, because we traded for Deebo Samuel, obviously we will, or at least there's a good chance we will trade for Myles Garrett. I wouldn't say it's a good chance, but I do think there is a chance. And then lastly, I want to finish it up with St. Wah. He said Washington and San Francisco may not be done doing business with each other in the coming weeks. So look out for that. Hey man, watch out. I mean, I'm working on a video right now where I'm gonna talk about Talanoa Hufanga, of course Charvarius Ward, Dre Greenlaw. I'm working on that because Deebo Samuel may not be the last 49ers player that ends up on the Commanders that will be playing for us in 2025. You have been warned. And then also, now let's talk about the whole $5 million thing. Spot Track said, barring a renegotiation, which should not happen. First of all, let's go ahead and get that out the way. It's already been reported by several people that it's highly unlikely that the Washington Commanders renegotiate with Deebo Samuel to make his contract cheaper, maybe to extend him and to make him cheaper on a per year basis, and to where he's not just playing on his 1-year final deal. First of all, I doubt it happens because, one, if you're going to do that, you're supposed to agree to that before the trade is even official, because now if you try to renegotiate with him and try to extend his contract, whatever, try to give him a new deal, right now after you traded for him, he has all of the leverage because you already traded for him for a 5th round pick. There technically aren't any take backs, even though technically we could. The trade is not official until the new league year starts March 12th, which is 9 days away. So technically we could, But like usually when you trade for a player, you already have the contract set up before the trade is done that y'all agreed upon. Because again, the player gets a lot more leverage after the trade is already done when it comes to contract negotiations. And the Commanders aren't about to play those games, especially with our boy Brandon Sosna in there working the magic with the contracts. 2, going back to my point of a motivated Deebo Samuel. Why would you extend him right now and even chance the fact that you may take away some of that motivation? I want Deebo Samuel fighting for his life on this last year of his deal, trying his best to get a bigger deal later. Don't just hand it to him right now for absolutely no reason. Wait to see that he proves himself deserving of a new bigger deal, more money, all of that type of stuff. Because right now, $17.5 million is extremely cheap for a Deebo Samuel level player, a former All-Pro that didn't have any significant injuries that we have to worry about lingering any longer. He's under 30 years old too. Like, I just feel like you don't typically get a guy like that for a 5th round pick and only pay them less than $20 million. This is a very unique situation. Really, the stars align for the Commanders to get a high ceiling, low risk guy right here. That's why I love the trade, because it's so low risk, but it has such a high ceiling to it. Again, he's not coming off of an ACL or MCL tear or any severe injury like that, like Brandon Ayuk is. And we're still talking about a guy that was just an All-Pro a couple of years ago. And again, to go back to the All-Pro a couple of years ago, he's still only 29 years old. He's not even 30. So I don't see us making even any effort to renegotiate with this guy to extend him or anything like that. But going back to Spot Track, Deebo Samuel will bring a 1-year, $17.55 million contract with him to the Commanders, including a $15.4 million option bonus due March 21st, which is why the 49ers wanted to go ahead and trade him. Instead of waiting until June 1st to trade him to save way more money against their cap, they chose to get rid of him as soon as possible because they don't want to pay that $15.4 million option bonus, and I guess we're okay with it. But if exercised, Samuels' contract hit for 2025 could be $5.2 million, though they'll carry $12.3 million avoidable dead cap in 2026. So that's just an option. Again, like I prefaced way earlier in the video, I don't see this as the most likely route that we go down, but according to Spot Track, if we really, like we wanted to do everything we could to build the Monstars like a Super Bowl contending team this offseason right now, go all in on 2025 and then just pay for it later in 2026, you have the flexibility to do that. If you want to turn his $17.55 million cap hit into $5.2 million to save $17.3 million, and then you also cut or trade away Jonathan Allen to get an additional $16.3 million. If you really want to go that route so that we can pony up and get as many great players as we possibly can to go all in on 2025, you can. That is definitely an option. Again, I'm pretty sure we're very likely to cut or trade Jonathan Allen, which will again give us an additional $16.3 million. But I don't see us exercising that option to save $12.3 million in cap space in 2025. Because just imagine if it doesn't work out with Deebo Samuel. Now you have this $12.3 million worth of dead cap in 2026 for a guy that's not even on your team. I mean, it could be voidable. You could push it back even further. Who knows? Whatever. And then, of course, you make this deal in good faith that this will work out. So maybe you just go ahead and do it because you're confident. Hey, I know Deebo Samuel, Adam Peters, Anthony Lynn. They've been with them for a few years now until just last year. Now they reunite with them again, but they know him. They're like, I feel like I'm very confident this will work out. We're going to go ahead and bet on him. Let's make him cheaper for this year. We'll pay for it later so that we can build the best team possible in 2025. That is an option. Not saying it's going to happen, but just putting that out there. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for more content. Again, I'm coming out with another video later on today, probably sometime this evening, so be on the lookout for that. Can't wait to talk about a lot more topics. I mean, the combine just happened. You know how excited I am to talk about all of the athletic freaks and things like that. I'm excited to talk about my Georgia boys. You already know I'm working on another mock draft, a post-combine, post-Deebo Samuel mock draft where I'm trying to get as many athletic freaks as possible, the guys that really showed out in the combine, so I could, because y'all know most of the reason why I do these mock drafts is to put y'all on the great players. And so I feel like it's only natural for me to, make sure I include some of the super freak athletes that that dominated the combine in my next mock draft. And then it's also going to be tailored around the fact that we do have Deebo Samuel on the team now. So I'm working on that. I'm working on so many things. I want to talk about some of these Jets players that we may get into. I want to talk about some of these other 49ers players that we may be interested in free agency. So be on the lookout for all of that, man. And again, please make sure you do not leave this video without leaving a like. And also, man, most importantly, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Do you agree with the national media and the experts that the Washington Commanders, this is a great trade for us? Let me know how you feel about all of the different opinions that we ran through the second half of the video. Let me know how you feel about all of that, man. I'm gonna try my best to read and reply to as many comments as possible. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.